Um, I'm going to speak about how we as men and women get socialized into our gendered identities and what makes us behave the way we do. So let's take a look at socialization. What exactly is socialization? That's supposed to be the next slide, but I'll carry on. So socialization is a lifelong process of inheriting and disseminating norms, customs, and ideologies, which provide us with skills and habits necessary for participating within our societies. Socialization is thus the means by which social and cultural continuity is attained. We all get socialized in institutions, and these are the main institutions of socialization: family, educational institutions, religion, government, media, art, and culture. And of course, there are others, but these are the ones I'm going to speak about today. The most important agent, the institution, is the family. And the family has the greatest impact on gender socialization, which I'm focusing on today. And it is here we first learn what it means to be male or female. From the age of 3, we start referring to ourselves in terms of gender and are aware of how we are expected to behave. From a very early age, we start giving toys to our children, which are gender toys. Boys get guns and cars and balls, and girls are usually given dolls and things that they can identify with making a home. Next is school. We spend most of our semi-adult lives in school from the very beginning. It's the first institution where gender socialization can be challenged. It is also the space where information on sex and sexuality can be given, as families are reluctant to talk about it. However, efforts to introduce these into the curriculum are resisted by parents, teachers, and school principals. We also, in school, have peers. In peer groups, we share, I'm sorry, I can't see this very well, so I apologize. We share interests, dreams, and escape supervision from families and adults, and form relationships on our own. We feel this need most acutely during adolescence, and this sometimes conflicts with those of the family, which have a longer-term influence on us. Religion is a very powerful tool of socialization and is linked to our concepts and values. It builds on our gendered identities, which are formed in families and schools. We develop our religious beliefs and notions of right and wrong from our parents, and many of our gender stereotypes are reinforced by religion and religious practices. Ceremonies related to family structure, like marriage and birth, are connected to religious celebrations. The government is a very powerful institution also. In India, it's our Mai-Baap, as most people like to say. Many rites of passage, such as age of marriage, adulthood, and old age, are based on norms established by the government and defined by them. Policies from gender sensitivity and sex education or in schools to quotas and reservations are also decided by governments. Media reinforces our belief systems and socializations of family and schooling. It's managed and created by people who are often unaware of gendered realities, and therefore by concentrating and focusing on certain topics, they create, manage, and control our impressions. Most of us get information about sex and sexuality from our peers and media. In a culture where we barely talk about sex and sexuality, it's now all over the place. How do we handle this? How do people who come from traditional families or parts of societies which are more traditional deal with this? From the internet, we get information about what we need and want. As adults, we don't give young people this information voluntarily, as we're uncomfortable with our own sexualities. And we also expose them to some damaging material which we may not be able to control. Most technologies liberate and oppress us. Here a young woman offers to interview me as I conclude my interview with her. Technologies can bring equality and gender parity. That is the reason why cup panchayats desperately want young women not to have them. How do we handle this besides getting upset? Art and culture define, redefine and challenge our gendered realities. Here, a male Kathakali performer gets ready to act in a female role as an ancient tradition where women were not allowed to perform. Our discomfort with our sexualities and reluctance to display the human body get a relief in art. Attempts by boys and girls to explore each other's bodies is frowned upon in our society and often punished. How then do we learn about each other's bodies outside of pornography and art? The lack of free and open discussion of sex and sexuality starts from the family and is reinforced by all institutions in our socialization. Our ignorance often results in sexual abuse, unwanted sex, and unplanned families. In conclusion, socialization is the process of learning throughout our lives and is a central influence over our behavior, beliefs, and actions. Although cultural variability manifests itself in customs and behaviors of whole social groups, the most fundamental expression of culture is found at the individual level. And unless socialization is consciously engendered, the current challenges we face will continue and probably be exacerbated. Thank you.